schools, but they take their other visits. When do coaches devise the feeling that maybe if they can't turn a guy, they're letting a fox in the hen house, bringing a player in that's actually recruiting for another team when they bring him in, if they bring in a whole group of recruits? So how do they work that? I mean,
you mean with a guy that, I mean, they don't bring anybody in on a visit that they don't think they can get.
Yeah, they can turn.
Right.
But in essence, you also let in guys who are committed to other schools or heavy lean to other schools that actually end up being foxes in the hen house recruiting for the team you're recruiting against.
Well, I mean, you hope that that doesn't happen. I have seen where some recruits have been sent home early from their official visits if they're disruptive in that manner. They get rid of you in a hurry if they sense that kind of stuff is going on. All right, couple of quick notes. We'll get to your phone calls, 800-956-7266. But first of all, basketball tonight here in Columbia, the USC women, number one in the country, back in SEC play. They take on Alabama, a team they've already beaten by about, 50 points earlier in the year in Tuscaloosa.
This will be a tough one this time.
They get them in Columbia tonight at 7 o'clock. All right, the ACC released the football schedule for 2015. Here is what Clemson will be facing. The Tigers will open the season September 5th at home against Wofford. The next week at home against Appalachian State. Thursday night, September 17th, they go to Louisville. That's their ACC opener, and that will no doubt be tough. They come home October 3rd for Notre Dame, home October 10th for Georgia Tech, home October 17th for Boston College. So the Tigers play 5 of their 7 home games in the first half of the season. By October 17th, they will have played 5 home games. So it's heavy loaded schedule on the front end for the Tigers. They have to make hay in the front part of the schedule because then October 24th, they go to Miami. October 31st, they go to NC State. Florida State comes in on November 7th. They travel to Syracuse November 14th, home to Wake Forest November 21st, at USC November 28th. So the Tigers have just 2 home games after October 17th. One is Florida State, one is Wake Forest, and the front part of the schedule will be challenging. Louisville, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. That will be a tough, a difficult stretch for Clemson. No matter how good the Tigers might be, that's going to be a difficult stretch. Louisville's constantly improving. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. They're going to have their great players, whether it's Golson at quarterback or somebody else. But they do get them at home. Georgia Tech will be, I think, even better next year because their quarterback is a winner. Mm-hmm. He runs that offense extremely well, and he makes them tick. Going to Miami, not an easy trip. NC State's improving. Florida State's Florida State. So some very challenging games. Again, Clemson has to get off to a good start in 2015 if they have any hopes of winning the ACC and making the playoffs.
Well, sometimes there can be a thorn in your side, but Boston College, if I'm not mistaken, their whole offensive line was grad students last year. So that whole offensive line has to be rebuilt at Boston College. But Phil, when I look at the schedule, at least as far as proximity is concerned, it's good to be home as Clemson tries to crank up their offense yet another knot with a sophomore quarterback now, while trying to reshape the identity of that defense with some younger players. So I think it's key, especially for the defense as they reshape it early, to have those early home games.
Well, that early showdown, too, at Louisville will be quite interesting because I think Bobby Petrino is going to have he recruits well. Offensive players, good offensive players want to go play for him. They have to replace a good number of their defense now. Of course, their defense was outstanding, especially intercepting passes. They were the best in the country at that. So they've got to replace some good players there. But Thursday night in Louisville, that'll be a definite test for the Tigers. So that's what Clemson's schedule looks like moving forward. And as an addendum to that story, Clemson also released their non-ACC games as scheduled for the future. And so if I can put my hands on that, let's see if I can find that very quickly.
I got it for you.
Do you have that? Yeah, run through that. Okay, here we go.
I can run through it. 2016 at Auburn, And then 3 home games, South Carolina, SC State, Troy. That's 2016. 2017, Auburn comes to Clemson, as do the Citadel and Kent State. And then they're at South Carolina. 2018, Furman, Georgia Southern, which is now a Division I school, South Carolina. And then they go to Texas A&M. And then 2019, yes, it's that far, Charlotte at South Carolina, Texas A&M comes to Clemson and Wofford. And then 2020 at Notre Dame, South Carolina.
2020. Sounds like the name of a good television magazine show.
Yeah, somehow I see Barbara Walters and Hugh Downs still there.
Yeah, really. All right. What else I want to pass along to you tonight? Let's see. Oh, big story from Duke basketball. This came out of nowhere. Duke announced this afternoon junior guard Rashid Suleiman has been dismissed from the team. Mike Krzyzewski said, quote, Rashid has been unable to consistently live up to the standards required to be a member of our program. After Rashid repeatedly struggled to meet the necessary obligations, it became apparent that it was time to dismiss him from the program. He was the sixth man, averaging over 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 19 minutes per game, averaged over 11 points per game as a freshman last year. His role did become diminished as Duke filled out its roster with more talented players. He apparently is in good academic standing and plans to finish out the spring semester on campus. And, of course, Duke lost last night up at Notre Dame, 77-73, so Coach K's mad at somebody. Maybe he did something on that
free
trip.
Throw last night.
All right, let's get to some phone calls. 800-956-7266, the number, to Ronnie in North Augusta on this Thursday night. Hello, Ronnie. How are you?
Feel like you and Pro doing tonight?
Man, we're just doing great.
Couldn't
be finer.
Because I trust anything, most of the 90% of the stuff that I hear from you. That's why I don't go on the internet because I don't pay any attention to any of that.
It's a dangerous place, very dangerous place.
But I got a friend of mine that works up in Greenville and also a friend of mine from Winsboro that sent me some stuff today. And I just wanted to ask you if you're hearing anything along these lines. And usually when this guy, when he does send me something, mostly it's usually accurate. And he's saying that he looks about 95% sure that John Hoke is going to be hired after the recruiting ends, and that if he did, he'd be bringing 2 or 3 coaches with him. But what keeps getting my interest, this is the 3rd or 4th time I've heard this, but there looks like there's a good chance that Ellis Johnson may be coming back, no matter whether it's as a coordinator or what the job is. But he wants to get back to the state of South Carolina, and he would be willing to take a job other than a coordinator job. Are you hearing anything at all along those lines, or is this just something people are floating out there?
Too many Chiefs, too few Indians. You got to be careful. I couldn't see John Hoke and Ellis Johnson coming to South Carolina.
No, what they were saying is that if it wasn't Hoke, that Ellis would come back even if he wasn't the coordinator. But Ellis would come back and if they kept Lorenzo as coordinator, but that wouldn't be a baby. Probably make them co-coordinators. But Ellis, him and Lorenzo are real close.
Since Spurrier has said that he's not firing any coaches, that they're all coming back, that kind of limits the possibilities, unless they just plan on, if he does hire somebody else to come in, as he said he will do if he finds somebody that he thinks can help the program. Let's just hypothetically go with your first comment, and he hires Hoke. He brings in a couple of guys maybe. These other coaches that you've said aren't going anywhere, you can only make so many administrative positions for these guys, and these guys want to be on the field coaching anyway. So I don't know how he's going to handle all that.
What the article did say is that they would anybody that if that happened, that these guys would be, like you said, offered an administrative job. Now, well, it would be up to them whether they want or not, but they would be offered one until to the end of their contract.
Yeah,
which most of them probably, if it might be too late this year, but I can't see anybody stay. I just got a feeling I think there could be some openings. I think Robinson, the special teams guy, I mean, you can replace him with anybody. And then I don't know that much about the defensive secondary coach, but I do. But I just be honest. I think on defense, I think Lorenzo Ward is safe. I don't know if anybody else at all is safe.
All right, thank you very much. It's a tough balancing act for a head coach. You go through a 7-6 season, you have obvious issues that you have to address. However, the guys on your staff are entwined with some recruits, and you don't want to damage that before or after signing day. So it's a difficult call by a coach. Thanks for the call. Back in a moment. Get back to your phone calls here in a little bit on Sports Talk. We've got recruiting coming up as well, plus those comments from Marshawn Lynch that we'll play for you just a little bit. Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. I like the Pats. Who do you like?
I'm leaning towards Seattle because everybody else picking the Pats. By the way, the cheapest Super Bowl ticket, honestly, bought a little bit over $8,000.
Yeah, I've got two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got two of them heading out there in the morning. Anyway, let's welcome in from Paramount Sports, the man who needs not worry about the price of a ticket to the Super Bowl. He sets the prices. It's Lee Sterling. Lee, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm not out in Arizona, not at the Super Bowl for the first time in 8 years. So took the year off.
Did you really?
Yeah, just decided this is one. I've been out to Arizona before, and tired of traveling.
Stay home, watch it like most of the rest of the world.
That's right. That's right. And I do actually have a connection. So I always get tickets at face value, usually between the 30 and the 50-yard line. A good friend of mine is actually one of the three gentlemen who handles all lost, stolen, or well-called tickets. So that part is good. It's just, you know what? Just going to games, not the same. I like going to college games. Yeah, I'll just not so much anymore.
Yeah, and the Super Bowl has become such everything but the football game.
I've sat next to people at some of these games. They're from other countries. They don't even know what's going on.
No. It's a big corporate gathering and, a chance to socialize and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, let's get to the business of your business, and that is projecting what's going to happen in this game and some of the other bets that crop up around the Super Bowl. First of all, tell everybody how they can get your stuff on the Super Bowl.
Well, just go to the website, ParamountSports.com. We have up and available the game. My selection there, we've got a teaser play on the game and my top 10 prop plays. So all that, just $97, ParamountSports.com. You can have fun, with that. That's what it's all about, having fun and being under control when you wager. You don't want to play 30 or 40 prop plays because they usually have 15 to 20% juice, which is a little heavier than the 10% on the game. So it can be fun. And what's nice is you can pick out whatever you like. And I had to go through 594 prop bets this year. So they keep coming up with more. And the first year ever, they had a prop play with deflated balls. And the over-under on that was 3. I don't think we're ever going to see a prop on this. Now, which way would you guys go on the number of times mentioned deflated balls during the game? Over-under 3.
Over. Oh my gosh, I'd say over.
Well, here's what always happens. 9 out of 10 times, guys. They put that number up there, and everyone plays the over.
Yeah.
And it's like when let's say Peyton Manning plays. How many times will they show Eli Manning? They'll put up like 2 or 3, and you figure, that's an easy one to play over.
Yeah.
75 to 80% of the time it goes under. Here's what's probably going to happen. NFL probably talked to the announcers. They told mention it at the beginning, and then just don't mention it again. So if you play the under, you're probably going to be a winner.
So you're sitting there and you're screaming at the announcers, mention the balls, mention the underinflated balls, mention something. Now, what counts as the bet? Does it, like, if one of the announcers is talking and he says, what's the underinflated or deflated? Is that how you have to word it? Is it based on the words that they use?
Has become deflated balls.
So if he says, the deflated ball scandal at New England, blah, 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 I doubt there'll be any deflated balls here in the Super Bowl. But if there are some deflated balls, so does that count as 3 times?
That would
right
be
there?
3. That would be 3.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Give me another.
You can do the coin toss, but I think that's crazy betting the coin toss. Now, the national anthem's fun, and I got some pretty good, experience with that with my daughter. In the last month, she's sang at 3 NBA arenas and also sang with the Palm Beach Pops, and they know how long it's going to take, and they usually they tell you they have it scripted out. And I checked Idina Menzel. She started singing the national anthem in 2007 at an NFL game on December 29th between New England and the Giants. She was only 1 minute and 35 seconds. Her longest one was the 2014 Major League Baseball All-Star game. She was 2 minutes and 1 second. and that's where the number is for this game. I think they're going to have her do it between 1:50 and 1:55. I think it's going to go under.
All right. Now, what about the game itself? How much do you want to share with us there about what you're thinking based on the line?
Well, I think it's going to be a tight game. This is not going to be one of my, super duper like last year, 40 to 50 unit selections. Mm-hmm. But I do think that two things you'll see. I think you'll see Belichick game plan to take away the run for Seattle. I think he feels if he can stop the spread option and Lynch, they have a good chance. And I don't think New England's, going haywire and scoring like they did in the last game. How about this stat? Teams have scored 40 or more points in the playoffs since 1980. The next game they played in the playoffs, whether it was a second, third round, or Super Bowl, they're 4-23 against the spread. So the public has certainly swung the balance of this line, which started off as Seattle -2.5. It's now New England -1. So they've moved to 3.5 points. That's just public money. And the public is playing New England right now to the tune of 3 times more than they're playing Seattle. So the public, usually swayed by what they see the last week. And then there's also some fun, ones you can do with just regular, watching the game, like the first touchdown of the game. That's always interesting. Everyone's, every attention span of let's say you have 20 or 30 people, everyone's still watching the game and all the commercials, probably the middle of the first quarter, and that's when the first touchdown scored. If you like New England, you might want to look at Gronk there. Rob Gronkowski is between 6 and 7 to 1. Score the first touchdown. Julian Edelman 10 to 1. If you like Seattle, probably Marshawn Lynch or Russell Wilson. They vary from 6 to 1 for Marshawn Lynch to 12 to 1 for Russell Wilson. A sleeper there is Tim Wright for New England at 20 to 1. New England, a lot of times, they get inside the 5 and they say, okay, we're not going to try to butt heads with you. We're just going to fake it into the line, throw it to the tight end, get the touchdown, get off the field. And he's a guy that scored 6 touchdowns. Doesn't score as many touchdowns as Gronk, but 20 to 1 compared to 6 to 1. A lot of times in the Super Bowl, they do some things. They show some plays that they haven't shown as much going to the superstars. So that's a long shot to look at.
How much stock, if any, do you put into the mental or psychological aspect of ancillary conditions? For instance, New England has been hammered with Deflategate, and now that team's integrity has been questioned. And the only way they can prove it is, okay, fine, y'all pump the balls like y'all want to, and we're going to kick Seattle's behind. Now, do you think that is plausible to say that New England comes in early with a psychological maybe advantage?
If anything, I think it might help them. I think that a team like that with veteran leadership and a veteran quarterback can overcome something like that. So they might rally around that. But what happens also once these games start, the only time it can really work negative is usually a death to a player or someone close to that organization, or what happened with Oakland. Remember, the center Robbins, went AWOL the day before the game. So things like that can go against them. But I don't think it's going to hurt New England. I think it's a tight game. I think it's probably a field goal touchdown game either way. I think this is going to be one of the better games we've seen in the last probably dozen years.
Eugene Robinson with the Falcons.
Had
to miss the game because of some late night shenanigans that he got into. One more time, the website that folks can get to get all the info?
ParamountSports.com, or call me here at 800-400-9741. Always follow me on Twitter, Paramount Sports.
Our pleasure. Best of luck to you. Great weekend, and we look forward to talking to you next football season.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Lee. Good buddy Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. All those prop bets. Here's one. How many times will the corn fall asleep during the game? Over, under?
10.
I'd say 3. 3, over, under. Take the over. Back in a moment.
I mean, all week, I done told y'all what's up. And for some reason, y'all continue to come back and do the same thing that y'all did. I don't know what story y'all trying to get out of me. I don't know what image y'all trying to portray of me. But it don't matter what y'all think, what y'all say about me. Because when I go home at night, the same people that I look in the face, my family, that I love, that's all that matter to me. So y'all could go and make up whatever y'all want to make up, because I don't say enough for y'all to go and put anything out on me. But I'll come to y'all event, y'all shove cameras and microphones down my throat.
Recruiting coming up in a couple of minutes. I'm negotiating with Trey Druin to try to get his information around 7:57, 7:58. He's playing hardball with us right now, so we'll see what happens. Possibly we might get that a couple of moments before he puts it on Twitter, or just put it on Twitter at 7:57, whatever the case may be.
We can't do like the old Nightline show and warn our affiliates we're going to go over.
Wish we could. The computer cuts us off at 8 o'clock, right. And that's that. Recruiting in a couple of minutes, but this Marshawn Lynch stuff to me is fascinating, just the way he is. He had to sit with the media today for 5 minutes, required by the NFL. We're not going to bring all 5 minutes to you because for most of it, he sat there and gave shout-outs to various organizations and people, refusing to answer questions and just stared at reporters. But he did have a statement after somebody asked him some question. Here's what he had to say.
I mean, all week, I done told y'all what's up. And for some reason, y'all continue to come back and do the same thing that y'all did. I don't know what story y'all trying to get out of me. I don't know what image y'all trying to portray of me. But it don't matter what y'all think, what y'all say about me. When I go home at night, the same people that I look in the face, my family, that I love, that's all that matter to me. So y'all could go and make up whatever y'all want to make up, because I don't say enough for y'all to go and put anything out on me. But I'll come to y'all event, y'all shove cameras and microphones down my throat. But when I'm at home in my environment, I don't see y'all. But y'all mad at me. And if y'all ain't mad at me, then what y'all here for? I ain't got nothing for y'all, though. I told y'all that. So y'all should know that. But y'all will sit here like right now and continue to do the same thing. I'm here preparing for a game, and y'all want to ask me all these questions, which is understandable. I could get in with that. But I told y'all, I'm not about to say nothing. So for the remainder of my, 3 minutes, because I'm here, I'm available for y'all. I'm here, I'm available for y'all. I done talked. All of my requirements are fulfilled. So now for this next 3 minutes, I'll just be looking at y'all the way that y'all looking at me. Thank you.
He's got these big old sunglasses, that hat. He's that beast. What's it called?
Beast mode.
Beast mode hat that he got fined for. He's wearing all that kind of stuff. Now, media day on Tuesday, Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer, who works for the NFL Network, of course, they have certain privileges and they get certain access that nobody else can get. He got Marshawn Lynch to the side, away from everybody, and they had a decent conversation.
How you doing? Move. You look good.
Shit, you do too.
You all right?
Man, I'm smooth.
I like when you got off the plane with the beast mode and everything. It look like you're ready to play, man.
Yep, that's what time it is.
You kind of shy.
Nah,
You just don't want to talk, really.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You right to go get it. You just like to do it.
That's what it is. I ain't never seen no talking with me nothing.
Yeah.
Yep. Been like that since I was little. Was raised like that.
Well, I respect it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good.
Something, you go get it. Ain't no need to talk about it.
You excited about the game?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
See, these are real emotions, man.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. It's on your back. They feel like if they can stop you, they can stop this team.
Well, they're going to have to stop all of us. You feel me?
I feel you.
I'm a piece to it, but we got some dogs.
You don't like podiums, do you?
That ain't my thing.
What is your thing?
Laid back, kick back,
Yeah.
mind my business, stay in my own lane.
Yeah. So you just gonna sit in the cut and just chill. That's what you do.
Just kick back. Game time, though, I'll be there.
What you like about this week?
What I like about this week, this whole experience, you know, being able to have this opportunity.
Has anything surprised you?
Yeah, being here is big.
It's huge.
It is.
It's what you dreamt of.
It is. And it's right here in front of me, too.
You brought the whole family?
They on the way.
They on the way?
Yeah. Town business going to be in the building.
Marshall Falk loves you, man.
That's huge. That's huge. That's a great, too.
He respects you and he loves you. He loves your game. We all love your game, man. We love beast mode.
That's big time. Beast mode, love, and appreciate that.
I'm going to let you go, man. I'm proud of you, man. Thank you for that. Thank you, man. God bless you. All right.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah, I love that. That was great interaction. Beast mode. He refers to himself in third person like Herschel used to.
Oh yeah.
Beast mode respects that. Beast mode gets. I love that. I understand the guy has his ways and his thought process and his approach to things. Don't necessarily appreciate it because I think as a pro athlete, you gotta let people in. That's why you get paid millions of dollars.
Steve Carlton.
To the recruiting we go here on Sports Talk. First of all, defensive end Tiga Winoco Jr., Elmore, Alabama, back to full speed or getting back to full speed as he recovers from a broken leg. His recruiting's at full speed. Les Miles was in Wednesday. Butch Jones was in today. Kurt Botkin from USC has been in touch. May get in for a visit in the morning, according to assistant coach Todd Taylor. Now, Winogo is going to take an official this weekend to Auburn. He was at LSU a couple of weekends ago. He has scheduled Mississippi State Feb 13th, Tennessee February 20th. Undecided about that fifth and final visit. USC offensive lineman commitment Christian Pelage about to shut things down. He could pull the plug on recruiting as early as tonight. USC offensive line coach Sean Elliott scheduled to meet with him tonight, and he said he'll go public with a final commitment announcement either tonight or Friday. He's remained publicly committed to the Gamecocks. He did meet with Mike Summers, Florida's line coach, yesterday. He said it went great. He said definitely gave me something to think about when my parents and I go over everything. But he has been pretty strong with South Carolina. I don't expect any change there. And again, Trey DeRuin, offensive lineman out of Lilburn, Georgia, going to announce his commitment tonight. He is scheduling to do it around 8 o'clock, 8:01, somewhere in there, trying to get him to tweet it out a couple of minutes before 8 o'clock. So far, no success in convincing him it would be in his best interest to do that. It would be in our best interest, of course, but trying to get him to believe it would be in his best interest. Defensive end Arden Key of Atlanta announces Monday night. Last night, Derek Tyson of ESPN tweeted that Key told him he's got a final three of USC, Auburn, LSU in that order. That would eliminate Miami from the list. Two-time USC commitment, of course, currently uncommitted, and he's going to visit Auburn this weekend. Damon Arnett, USC commitment defensive back, tweeted out that Urban Meyer on the way to his house. This was about an hour ago. So Meyer's going to get in the house tonight. Then he's going to have the kid all weekend in Columbus. And see, Ohio State lost Carlton Davis, one of their defensive back commitments, lost him today. He'll probably go to Auburn. So now they're going to really put the push on Arnett. Rashad Fenton, USC target, scheduled to visit Auburn, going to go to Louisville this weekend. Clemson going to have a big weekend on Saturday, big day Saturday of juniors. And wide receiver Cornell Powell of Greenville, one of the top prospects in the Carolinas, has Clemson as his big leader over Ohio State, NC State, and North Carolina. And he told us last night he just might commit on Saturday, going to take his mom up there with him, possibly going to commit, if not Saturday, probably not too far down the road. U.S. Today offered a 2018 quarterback, Joey Gatewood, out of Jacksonville, Florida. He now has 8 verbal offers as a 2018 kid. And to keep an eye on the website, sportstalksc.com, for any breaking recruiting news tonight, and Twitter at #STRecruiting.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCurry, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Thursday night from downtown Columbia Main Street. Sports Talk, your sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. Phil Kornblut and the Professor Tom Hayes and the Steak Man, Graham Pope. 800-956-7266. We had some folks drop off the lines while we were going through some stuff in the first hour. So if you want to, dial us up and join us. Love to hear from you. Your thoughts on recruiting, your thoughts on basketball from last night, your thoughts on Clemson's football schedule. Can the Tigers survive that 12-game slate? Do you see some landmines along the road? Can they get to 11 wins? Nobody can predict an undefeated season, obviously, but can you see 11 wins in that schedule this coming season for the Tigers? During the break, talking with Arden Key, which I always believe that's a good sign for either Clemson or South Carolina. If we're talking to one of their targets this late and they take the call, that's a good sign. Arden's been one of those hot and cold kind of guys when it comes to the media. Sometimes he's available, sometimes he's not. Didn't really say anything that is earth-shattering. South Carolina is his leader. And going into this weekend's visit at Auburn, they are the leader ahead of Auburn and LSU in that order. And he just feels comfortable with South Carolina. They've been on him the longest, But Auburn is with Will Muschamp and what they can offer and sell. They'll make a strong push. But one thing I think definitely working in South Carolina's favor compared to Auburn is opportunity to come in and play right away. South Carolina has no defensive ends. Auburn will have Carl Lawson back off of injury. He'll be back next year. They have others in their program at defensive end. I think they're pretty well set on the defensive front, especially at defensive end. That should work in South Carolina's favor when it comes to that kind of stuff as it relates to the Auburn football team. So, we'll see how that visit goes for him. And see if Auburn's able to shake him up a little bit. As I look at Auburn's depth chart, they have, defensive end Devontae Lambert is back. I don't think he declared for the draft, did he?
No,
And his backup is back, Elijah Daniel, a guy that Clemson, if I'm not mistaken, he might have been committed to Clemson at one time. Is that the kid from Indianapolis? Clemson was on him very strongly. Then on the other side, you got Jamel President, the kid out of Wando. He's back. Mm-hmm. But not on the depth chart is Carl Lawson because he was out with a knee injury almost all of last season. I don't think he played at all. So my point is, they've got their defensive ends back, and South Carolina doesn't. So, if South Carolina, you got Montravius Adams on, Marquavius Lewis penciled in at one side, but a kid like Key could see himself having a shot at the other side right away. That could work in South Carolina's favor. All right, it's 800-956-7266, the number to reach us here on Sports Talk. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Let's update some basketball. USC women and Alabama, they're 8-8. 14 minutes to play in the half. Now it's 10-8. USC's hit each of its last 4 shots, and it's a 10-8 USC lead with 14:03 to play in the first half at the Colonial Life Arena. The Gamecocks are shooting 56% early on with balanced scoring. 4 different players have scored thus far. Clemson women in action tonight. They're on television. They're in Winston-Salem. They're on Fox Sports if you want to watch them while you listen to us. Wake is up on Clemson 7-5. And in the Big Ten, it's Ohio State leading Maryland early 5-3. What do we have elsewhere around the state?
Yeah, elsewhere, no score yet in on Wofford and Unionsboro. They'll tip at any moment. Early on, it's Furman 11, East Tennessee State 7. And Phil, if I could throw this in right quick, which is a strange scheduling they're doing here, but they have the method to their madness. The SEC Big 12 Conference Men's Basketball Challenge will now be moved within the midst of the conference schedules, January 30th, and will be played on the platforms ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU, combining to televise all 10 games of the event. Mike Slive says moving the Big 12 SEC Challenge later in the season will raise the profile of the event and give our coaches and student athletes and fans the attention that it deserves. He says, in other words, to avoid competing with college football. So they moved it to late January. They said all of the 10 Big 12 schools and 10 of the SEC's 14 schools participate in the event, and the 4 SEC teams not participating in the challenge will be matched up in conference games on January 30th that will be televised on the SEC network, and the conferences will set aside a common open date in early January or February to play the challenge in the future. So they're moving it in the midst of their conference schedules.
All right. I'm just getting this note here that Mike Alden is stepping down as the AD at Missouri. You want to do a quick search on that?
Okay.
I think this is being sent to me via our comrade in Missouri, Bill Pollock. Yeah. So I just getting this little note via KMAC, I guess, from Bill asking us something about that. So see what you've got on that. Mike Alden stepping down as the AD.
He will step
Missouri?
down, resigning after the academic year.
Just say why?
Who's 17 years. Let's see. It's from the Kansas City Star. And if it ever comes up, and if they don't put a pay thing in front of me, let's see what we got here. Missouri Athletic Director. Let's see. He will resign. Mike Alden resigned at 17 years. Will step down his position August 31st. He announced his decision in a letter to the staff on Thursday, said he will become an instructor in the Missouri University College of Education. Told the staff that teaching has been in his plan for several years. So he is going back into the classroom. He's going to be a professor in the College of Education at Mizzou. MU Chancellor Bowen Lofton has started a national search for Alden's successor.
Very interesting. Okay. 800-956-7266. Okay. I have twisted his arm. Looks like Trey DeRuin is going to cooperate. And in our final segment tonight, before we sign off, we should have the word from him as to his commitment going to be South Carolina, I would think, based on not just this, but based on words from this past weekend and other indications, which would be a very nice pickup for the Gamecocks. This is a kid that was committed to Mississippi State at one point. Florida got involved with him. Offensive guard, 6'3", 309.
Well, you hold your breath that he won't say ITT Tech or University of Phoenix,
True,
like the kid in Texas. But it'd be interesting. Do you read anything that he says he agrees to do that he's saying South Carolina? Because he could come on there and say Louisville.
Well, true. I mean, he could say anything. we're not going to put him on the air. No, we're not going to do that.
Well, you're not going to put him on the air?
No, we're just going to get the information.
Oh, okay.
I told him, I said, tweet it out at 7:57. I don't want to leave our listeners hanging, just trying to negotiate a way to get the information before 8 o'clock. So I'm not trying to scoop anybody or get an exclusive. I'm way past that. I just said, hey, let us, get it to us before 8 o'clock on Twitter or whatever, however you want to do it. So I think we're going to hopefully, if everything holds together here, sensitive negotiations are taking place.
Well, here's another sensitive negotiation. If I were Clemson, and you can't negotiate now because the schedule is out, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I was Clemson, this Notre Dame game, I'd tell them to move the Notre Dame game to November 7th. And since they're still trying to figure out who their quarterback is, bump Florida State to October 3rd as a second. I want to get those suckers before they get that offense going instead of going into the ninth week and have to play them.
They're probably thinking Clemson, Florida State, late in the season, early November. What is that going to mean? Probably the game for the division championship if things play out as you would expect. So they've got a showdown in early November. It'll probably, if everything plays out as expected, it'll probably be an ESPN 8 o'clock game. You might even get game day in there, a whole bunch of hype. If Florida State is in great shape at that point, if Clemson's in great shape at that point, you could see obviously it's going to be a hype game to begin with simply because of the rivalry between the two. But if the seasons play out as you expect, then it would make that game even more of a spectacle.
Well, they didn't give Clemson that right. They knew Clemson had a new quarterback situation this year, and they moved them early in there for Florida State to play them in Tallahassee. Why not do the same thing to Florida State?
Here's Florida State's schedule, and they've got a chance once again to have a great. Their quarterback. They lose Winston, but his replacement is an excellent quarterback. I mean, he did a pretty decent job against Clemson in that game under some very pressurized conditions. He's a big-time quarterback. It's not like they don't have a quarterback who can step in and play.
Mm-hmm.
But they open up with Texas State. Then they play South Florida. I'll wake you in a minute. They're going to play at Boston College Day, a Friday night game at Boston College, September 18th. Yes, Friday night. Then they have an open week. Then they get Wake Forest. So they've got 5 weeks of nothing. They have 5 weeks. Florida State's got 5 weeks to get their quarterback situation sorted out before they get Miami at home. Listen to me. They get Miami at home. And they get Louisville at home the next 2 weeks.
But that's why I'm saying if I'm Clemson.
This is a very good schedule for Florida. They go to Georgia Tech.
Okay.
And I think Georgia Tech's going to be scary. They get Syracuse at home. Then they go to Clemson. I mean, they're going to probably be right there with no league losses, or at the most one. I mean, Miami at home, Louisville at home. Georgia Tech might be the scariest game. They go to Clemson, then they get NC State at home, Chattanooga at home, and they finish up at Florida. So, their road games in the league. Well, 2-2. I mean, Boston College is getting better. They're not a light touch, but they lose their quarterback. Mm-hmm. But they're getting better. Wake is still Wake. They're a long way away. And Georgia Tech will be kind of dangerous. But the schedule sets up nicely for Florida State.
But that's my point. That's the point I'm making. If I'm Clemson, I'm not complaining. I'm just wanting to tell people what it looks like. You knew that Taj Boyd and the receivers were leaving. Yet you scheduled us early to go to Tallahassee. Florida State, they're losing their quarterback, their great tight end, and some of their defensive players, and yet you gave them a break and don't move them to Clemson early in the season. You bumped them down to the 9th week. Why is that? I just want to ask the question.
We'll talk more about these ACC schedules when we come back here on Sports Talk. Just looking to see who has the crummiest opening schedule in the AC. Yeah, who's got Cupcake City? I'd have to give the crown to NC State. They open up home against Troy, home against Eastern Kentucky. Then they go to Old Dominion. Then they go to South Alabama.
The Jaguars.
So, that's 4 lightweights. Then they get Louisville at home. They play at Virginia Tech on a Friday night. Did I miss something? Did I miss something about a Friday night ACC football package?
Yeah, I guess we did.
I guess we did. They're playing on a Friday night.
I thought that was
Louisville's playing at Wake Forest on a Friday night.
I thought it was the
Who
Pac-12.
else is playing on Friday night? Let's see here. What's all this Friday night stuff coming from? I must have been sleeping when they announced that. Florida State at Boston College on a Friday night. We mentioned looks like there's about 4 or 5 Friday night games. That's not going to sit well with the high school coaches.
No.
Pittsburgh's going to play Miami on a Friday. Well, that's over the Thanksgiving holiday. Pittsburgh, Miami will be on a Friday night. That'll be at Pittsburgh, rather, on a Friday night. How about Ohio State on a Monday night, September 7th, Ohio State at Virginia Tech?
Revenge, baby. But then, they won the national championship, even though they lost that game.
Let's see. Who else has a sucky opening part to their schedule? Virginia's got a pretty tough opening. How about this? This is tough now. They open up at UCLA.
Yeah, that's real tough.
That is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they should have beat UCLA at home. Remember, UCLA had all those turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had I want to say 3 pick sixes. I think they had 3 in that game. Yeah. And still lost.
That's the way I was describing the way UCLA looks like a West Coast team when they play in the NFL on Sunday and they got the 1 o'clock kick. It's almost like they're in a malaise the first half before they wake up in the second half.
All right, so Virginia goes to UCLA to open up. Then they have Notre Dame come in. Then William and Mary. Well, here's another Friday night game. They'll host Boise State on a Friday night.
Now, see, Boise State may be used to playing on Friday night because that's the vestige of the Pac-12 and what the Mountain West to play those Friday night games and the Big West. But
yeah, I did not realize the ACC. To me, that's demeaning for the conference. To me, that's what the small leagues do. They play on Friday night.
And the Pac-12. Those are the teams I knew play on the Friday night games.
I wonder what the reaction. I guess I got to believe that high school people aren't happy about this. And boy, is Clemson going to have to play a Friday night home game at some point in time?
I would think they'd have to ask for a waiver. You don't do that in the upstate on a Friday night.
Well, I don't know that you can get a waiver. All these years, Clemson has avoided the Thursday night home game, though they had one recently. And so sooner or later, you got to take one for the league if somebody wants to televise a game on a Friday night. But this is ridiculous.
Just tell them you're going to have the orange flu on that night.
I guess.
If you schedule us on Friday, it'll be the orange flu, if you know what I mean.
North Carolina opens up, of course, against the Gamecocks in Charlotte on a Thursday night. Then they get North Carolina A&T, Illinois, and Delaware at home. They'll spend the entire month of September in the state of North Carolina. They only play one road game at Georgia Tech October 3rd until they go to Pittsburgh on a Thursday night, October 29th. Okay, we're back. 800-956-7266, the number here on Sports Talk. USC's women, they're up 29-16 on Alabama. They had a stretch where they hit 11 straight shots. They're now shooting 64% from the floor, 14 of 22. And Asia Wilson off the bench, 4 of 5. She's got 9 points thus far. A couple of fouls, however. She leads the USC women. Alicia Welch, she's 3 of 3 from the floor. She's got 6 points. Everything kind of going their way. USC turned it over 8 times. Alabama's turned it over 10 times. USC has not hit a three-pointer. And close your ears, Pro.
It's close.
They're 1 for 4 from the foul line.
There you go.
Is that going to haunt them at some point in time?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. You
National championship game coming down to the wire. You put them on the foul line. Does it come back to bite them?
It could.
At some point in time, it will.
Well, the interesting thing is they draw a lot of fouls. And for every negative, there is a positive, because people say, well, Wilt couldn't shoot foul shots. Okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But Wilt fouled out your center because you kept fouling him. So he go to the line. And sometimes he was so strong, he powered it in anyway when you fouled him, and it was almost like a three-point play. But
yeah, you make a good point, because you got to look at who's taking the free throws.
Right.
Take a look at who's taking the free throws, and let's just take a quick glance here.
I think Coates is a pretty good free throw shooter. So is Wilson, but it gets contagious with this team. If they're hitting free throws early, they tend to hit free throws. If not, they start to miss them, and it comes in bunches.
Yeah, you would think, with the kind of game they play, going inside so much and taking advantage of their height, that it would be their big people who are shooting the most free throws. Let's see. Asia Wilson has taken the most free throws. This was going really, my stats aren't updated a couple of games back, but she had taken 95 free throws. Elena Coates had taken 92 free throws. Yeah, they are the leading free throw shooters by a wide margin. The next most has been taken by Tiffany Mitchell with 55. So she's 40 free throws behind. So Wilson and Coates are taking the majority of the free throws, and Wilson is shooting 64% and Coates is shooting 68%.
So you want that at least 70, 75%.
Oh, yeah. You'd like it to be 80%.
Well,
yeah, he really preferred 90%
if you could. Furman lead East Tennessee State 13-12. They're still in the first half. And now we got a score. UNC Greensboro 14, Wofford 13 early on in Jacksonville in the Atlantic Sun. USC Upstate 7, Jacksonville 2.
All right, last night USC played LSU to the wire, losing 64-58. It was really a closer game than that. They had a chance to, I think, in the final seconds. Marcus Stroman missed a layup underneath. I think that would have tied the game. And then also what came back to haunt them was they're down 2. LSU at the line misses the front end of a 1-and-1, or either the back end of a 2-shot opportunity, but they're only down 2. They don't get the rebound. Yeah, LSU gets the rebound. They have to foul him again, put him on the line. He knocks them both down. So that really was their undoing, along with their shooting. Once again, only 21 of 61 from the floor. They took 13 more shots than LSU did, but made 1 fewer shot than LSU did. That's becoming a regular occurrence with this team. Frank Martin didn't have much to say. They didn't have a formal post-game press conference for him, I don't believe. He did talk briefly with 1 or 2 reporters from the LSU side of things who were there. Here's what he had to say about the effort and the loss.
Just our guys gave great effort again. Unfortunately, we can write a book on how to mess up games in the last 3 minutes.
Just your overall thoughts on LSU's performance tonight?
They're good. Johnny's got a heck of a team. They're very talented. They play extremely hard. Hornsby and Gray, as the years progress, they've gotten used to playing SEC level basketball and through their team. And then Quarterman has just made a tremendous job for freshman and sophomore years. That's what most guys do. You got those 2 big guys inside, and you complement them with the play of those guards. You got to make it to a really good basketball team.
Now, I would suggest for Gamecock fans, if you can't stand to look at it, don't look. Don't look at it. But, Corn, I'm like you when you talked about it yesterday. South Carolina is doing all the little things they're supposed to do. They're playing defense, rebounding, getting shots, and for the most part, playing well down the stretch, but can't close the deal. If you can't watch this, don't watch it. Wait till it comes to fruition like you waited for Don Staley's team to build, because you can tell this team is not that far. But just like Cliff Ellis said about his team, they need a shot in the arm, a dose of confidence shooting the basketball.
Well, here's the other thing, too, in analyzing South Carolina right now, as I pointed out, they took, what did I say, how many more shots than LSU
I
did?
think they took about 6 or 7 more shots.
No, it was more than that.
More than that?
More than that. They took 61 to 48. They took 13 more shots. This is a trend that has befuddled them here in recent games. All right. Against Kentucky, the Gamecocks took 53 shots to Kentucky's 39, but they only made 12. So they took 14 more shots, but Kentucky made 6 more shots than they did.
Well, that means they're getting the offensive rebound and then
course it
missing
does.
another shot.
All right, here's another one. Here's Tennessee, the game 4, another loss. They took 24 more shots than Tennessee did, but Tennessee made 1 more field goal than they did. Okay. Auburn, another loss. Now, here's where things a little different. Gamecocks actually shot the ball decently, better than Auburn. They both took 52 shots. Gamecocks made 7 more field goals than Auburn did.
But Auburn had tons more free throws in that game.
Auburn in that game, yeah, they shot 26 free throws. The Gamecocks they made 26 free throws. The Gamecocks made 8.
Out of how many did they? I don't think
8 out of 15.
Yeah, okay.
And Auburn was 26 of 33. We go back to the Alabama game, a game they won. They took 12 more shots than Alabama did and made 2 more than Alabama did. Ole Miss, a game they lost. Both teams took 49 shots, and Ole Miss made 2 more buckets. The Florida game, both teams took 49 shots, and Florida made one more basket. So against Iowa State took more shots than the Gamecocks did, but the Gamecocks made 3 more shots. So, I don't know. There's – you can't say absolute that you do this, you're going to lose, you do that, you're going to win. But here we are seeing a case where the Gamecocks are doing a lot of things the right way, but the most important thing in basketball is shooting the basketball and getting the ball in the basket. I mean, everything else, but that's all part of it, making a shot late. Stroman doesn't make the layup late, and there were other missed shots as well. They don't get the key rebound on the missed free throw. That's something that coaches always talk about, and they say it's the most difficult thing to defend. Even though you've got the inside position in the lane, that long rebound off a missed free throw leading to the offensive rebound for the shooting team. It's a hard thing. That's why coaches are scared to put a team on the line to shoot when they're protecting a lead. They're afraid of not getting that rebound.
Well, it's interesting that if you notice at the NBA level, some guys are confident enough of their ability that they will turn and not look at the shot. They're looking at the guy that's supposed to box out because they know. And let's face it, Wes Unseld was one of the best at that because Wes Unseld got more rebounds to hit the floor than any other player I've ever seen in the history of basketball. Because what did he do? He put his decision was to put his big rump on anybody trying to get it so they can't get it. And then when he hit the floor, he got it. So you got to box out first before you go for the ball.
All right, let's shift gears and go to the Tigers. They played great basketball in the first half last night. I mean, they were on fire, and they were able to build a big lead and go on from there in the second half. They withstood a very hard run by NC State and kind of settled things down in the final minutes of the second half and pulled away to their victory. It's their fifth win in that building. They have no problem winning at NC State's facility there. The lead got down in the second half to as little as 6 with 6:03 to play, but Blossom Game hit a layup. They go 8, they go up 9, they go back up 11, and it pretty much stayed double digits the rest of the way. Good overall performance for the Tigers. They shot it well. That's been their thing all year. When they're making some shots, they got a chance to win, 47%, including 52% in the second half, and they were led by Jordan Roper. Second straight good scoring game for him, 18, and Rod Hall had 11, 3 assists, and Landry Noko had a good game. He ended up starting. Lineup we saw going in did not have him starting, but he did start. 10 points for him, but only 1 rebound. I'm sure they're not happy with that.
One more than a dead man.
Yeah. Jerron Blossom Game had a nice game with 7 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block shot. So a good win for the Tigers. They're back to 500, 4-4 in the league, 12-8 overall. Boston College coming in on Saturday at noon, a chance to get over the 500 mark. Obviously, Brad Brownell very pleased with the win, very happy with the performance, especially that first half.
Well, certainly a big win for us. First half we played about as well as we can play. We've done that twice. We did it tonight. We did it the first half of the Syracuse game. And then we just held on. We knew that NC State was going to make a run. Certainly we had a hard time rebounding the ball in the second half, and we got rattled. Dante got rattled a lot. And, Credit State, they played with a lot of fire that 10, 12 minutes. I think they probably wore down a little bit at the end. We were probably a little fortunate at the time we played them. I think we got them at a good time, a little bit like us after the Syracuse win. Sometimes catch teams at a time when it's just hard. We play so many games; it's very competitive. If you're not really locked in completely, it's hard to win in this league. And we played really well. Roper had a great game, shot it well, and pleased with the way our guys regained our composure. They cut it to 3, and we really regained our composure, ran good offense the last 8 minutes of the game, and we're able to put it away. Questions?
Coach, talk about Roper. Had struggled some in the shooting.
He hasn't played as well this year as we thought he would, but he's been coming on the last couple weeks, just regaining his confidence. And I thought his energy level at the beginning of the game was outstanding. I certainly made a shot or whatever, but I thought his activity level and just thought he brought great energy. And, our team needs that a little bit. We asked Rod Hall to do a lot of things, and I think he wears down in certain situations. And, he was big throughout the game. I thought he made consistently good plays, and his speed helped us a lot.
Coach, how do you think you guys did on racing targets? What you guys really key on them on those little flare outs?
Yeah, we did about as well as you can. I mean, Trevor still had 17 and 5 and only 1 turnover. I mean, he played great, and Ralston had 10. I thought we did a really good job on Ralston, and the game just takes on a different style because we played so well in the first half, and then Mark went small and try to catch up, and the game just changes a little bit. And again, maybe that helped us a little bit. I don't know, but certainly I thought we coming into the game, that's what you try to do against State, is you try to guard those guys as best you can. But they're shot makers, and I told my guys they're going to make some shots that are guarded. You're going to play good defense, and they're just going to rise up and make one on top of you. And you got to shake their hand and then move to the next play, and don't let that get you down. Keep fighting, and that I thought we did as good a job as you can to make it hard on those guys.
All right, nice job by Brad Brownell and the Tigers. Good win at PNC Arena, place where they've had some success. They shoot 12 of 19 from the line. They Didn't win the rebounding battle, but did get up 9 offensive boards. Just looking for some other key stats. Tigers blocked 9 shots, and they held State to 28% shooting. So you talk about a team having a bad night. State only made 6 shots in the first half, 12 in the second half. They shoot 28% for the night. And, it's one of those deals where they had such a big hole to climb out of. They were down 20-some-odd points, and oftentimes you cut into it, and then you kind of fizzle out. That's what happened to them.
Back as we wrap up this edition of Sports Talk, we've got some basketball scores we can let you in on. At halftime in the Southern Conference, up in the Greenville area, it's Furman 29, East Tennessee State 24. Up in Greensboro tonight, it's Wofford 30 and UNC Greensboro 22 at the half. At the half in the Colonial Athletic Association, Towson State, we're up at Towson, Maryland tonight, 33-17 over the College of Charleston. One other score to report on in the let's see here, in the Atlantic Sun Conference, it's USC Upstate leading 29-20 over Jacksonville.
Okay, keep talking for another second.
And of course, Corn is over there patiently getting a recruiting scoop as we talk. In the USC women leading Alabama 38-21, and that's at halftime as well. South Carolina shooting 57% from the field and look like they're maybe on their way to yet another win. That would make them, I think, 20-0 on the season, something like 8-0 in the SEC. One of the things you got to think about is the fact that Tennessee is also undefeated in the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to be a heck of a battle when they get together. All right, Trey DeRuin tells us he has committed to South Carolina over Louisville. So that's now official. He says it's done. He'll sign with South Carolina next week. He becomes the 5th offensive lineman to commit to South Carolina, and he is the 31st newcomer for the Gamecocks 2015 class. He had a terrific official visit to USC this past weekend. He tells me that when he went on his official visit, it felt like it was a family. He got along with everybody. He loved Spurrier. He loved the facilities and, of course, the academics. And his coach, Coach Eric Godfrey, told us that he's a very physical player, has great size, high character, high-quality kid. He makes kids around him better, is what the coach told us about him. He was once a Mississippi State commitment. He also considered Louisville, Kansas State, and Florida when he got down to making the final decision. So Trey DeRuin is spelled D-E-R-O-U-E-N, pronounced DeRuin. Got a little bit of a French thing going on there.
Cajun thing
He commits to South Carolina tonight. Keep an eye out for Christian Pellage. He could put the official word out tonight for South Carolina. Expect that to happen. And then they wait on Arden Key. We'll have a story up on our website later tonight on Arden Key with the latest from him. And they wait on Rashad Fenton, who is not going to Auburn this weekend. He's going to Louisville. Auburn expected to get Carlton Davis, who decommitted from Ohio State, which could affect Damon Arnett, who's committed to South Carolina, but meeting with Urban Meyer tonight and going to Ohio State this weekend. So it continues to churn out there as we head towards signing day. Thank you, Pro. Thank you, State Man. Thanks to all of you for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. We'll be back tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you then.